You're listening to the Fort Erie Podcast, your local source for upcoming events, hot new listings, and bite-sized interviews with business and community leaders. Here's your host, Brent Jones.
Hello and welcome to the Fort Erie Podcast, Season 1, Episode 5. It is Tuesday, November the 5th. I'm your host, Brent Jones, and let me start this episode by asking, was anyone brave enough to go trick-or-treating last week? I think I had one pair of kids at my door before I gave up for the night. Some of you saw the promo I did last week or the week before, gave out Halloween glow sticks, orange glow sticks to quite a number of homes in Fort Erie. I feel like I should have given you and your kids rain ponchos, probably. Quick reminder, coming up this Saturday, do you want a free Fort Erie Podcast t-shirt? Come on out to Sobeys. I'll be there between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Doing a food drive for COPE. Donate food, toiletries, and get yourself a free Fort Erie Podcast t-shirt while supplies last. All right, I'm going to be talking with Mary-Lou Ambrose-Little today, but first, let's get into my hot real estate listings of the week. Hot new listings, my picks. I'm going to start first in Fort Erie, kind of the north end of Fort Erie at 38 Wintemute Street. This home features, it was just listed, it features a full unfinished basement, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. I'm going to be honest, going through some of these photos, the home was just listed and it does look a little bit dated, but at this price point, I think there's some excellent potential there for either a first-time home buyer or for a possible flip even. It features updated windows, a newer furnace, a newer water heater. The roof is less than 5 years old, and it's Wintemute Street. I mean, you're a stone's throw from Niagara River. Great location. Next listing I want to move on to is 282 Cambridge Road West. That's in Crystal Beach. This home is just steps from, all the amenities on Erie Road as well as the beach. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. The home is just under 900 square feet, totally move-in ready. This would be ideal for someone who's maybe downsizing or even looking at a vacation home or an income property. It's got some high ceilings, open concept kitchen and dining room area. A very, very, very nice home. Presents really well. And lastly, my third and final pick for the week would be 277 Emmerich Avenue, just listed. It's corner lot, great neighborhood, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and almost 1,200 square feet. Now, one of those bedrooms and one of those bathrooms is actually in the fully finished basement with a completely separate entrance. So there's the possibility there for an in-law suite type of situation. The backyard is fully fenced in. I really encourage you to look at the photos. 277 Emmerich Avenue. The kitchen, the floors, there's just lots of updates throughout. This home presents really well. So any of these 3 listings, 38 Wintemute, 282 Cambridge West, 277 Emmerich, you can find links to these listings to learn more and look at photos in the show notes below this episode. In fact, there's links to everything we're going to talk about in today's episode. If you'd like to book a private showing on any of these properties, give me a call, 905-626-8826. Or if you want to talk with me about the benefits of listing your home at this time of year, because yes, there are many benefits to listing your home in the fall instead of the springtime, call me for that too. Now, as I mentioned today, I'm going to be talking with Mary-Lou Ambrose-Little, and if you've been following along so far for Season 1 of the Fort Erie Podcast, you know I usually try to get my guests in a really quiet spot, so there's no background noise. Well, today that goes completely out the window. Doesn't always work out. When I sat down with Mary-Lou, we were at the Scuttlebutt in Stevensville, and there was definitely some background noise. In the process of editing this episode, I tried to edit out and minimize that background noise as much as possible, with some limited success. But hey, that's just part of the job. Sometimes talking with really interesting people like Mary-Lou means going out in the community, and sometimes that means there's background noise. So we'll survive together, I'm sure. I'm going to pause here just for a sec, and I'll be back to speak with Mary-Lou. Okay, folks, we are back, and I am sitting here with Mary-Lou Ambrose-Little, who many of you know as the Market and Events Manager for the Ridgeway BIA, or perhaps her involvement in the Ridgeway Farmers Market. Welcome, Mary-Lou. Thank you for being on the show.
And thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad to sit down and talk to you. Now, I think usually I start with a question about the area, but I actually want to highlight that we're sitting in Stevensville, in the Scuttlebutt. Does this place have like a special meaning to you here, the Scuttlebutt?
Well, actually, it was kind of my place where I first kind of really reconnected with the whole town of Fort Erie about 7 years ago.
Right.
And actually, I sat here and read a local newspaper for the job as the market manager.
Oh, that's funny.
So that's why it has kind of a special connection for me.
Right.
And we're always here because of that. We then discovered that the food was also very good.
The food is excellent here.
And the ambiance and all the local folks. So
yeah, I love Scuttlebutt. It's a great place. Well, let me ask you this, because this is the question I usually start with for all of my guests. What makes Fort Erie such a great place to live and work?
I think one of the things that makes it really great is there are lots of opportunities and options out there for families to do things. There's a real focus no matter what area of Fort Erie you're in. The BIAs, the service clubs, everybody focuses on family and nice family-styled events. So there are lots of choices, and I hear this all the time, not only from residents who've been here for a long time, but from the newbies that are coming in from the GTHA. They comment on that all the time. The town reminds them of when they lived in Oakville or in Milton when they were much smaller communities, so they love it.
Sure. Well, no, people largely know you for your involvement, I think, in the Ridgeway Farmers Market is where I see your name pop up the most often on Facebook, but you're involved in other ways in the community too, right?
Yeah, I'm a community developer by background and just by force of habit, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
So where I see there's a need for change or to get something engaged in a community, I get involved, and that's sort of what happened here in Stevensville too.
Right.
Partnering with the Fort Erie Conservation Club to get the Stevensville Summer Market going.
Now, when you think of Stevensville, downtown Ridgeway, some of these communities that you're heavily involved in here, what are some of the businesses that impress you most in those areas that have really made a big impact for their community?
I think the restaurants are one of the things. Like we've mentioned Scuttlebutt, we could mention 335 on the Ridge.
Right,
and a little breakfast nook like Maria's place. They're all very, very nice places to go, and more recently Lama. And of course everybody knows Brimstone.
Well, let me ask you about Brimstone, and maybe I'm getting too personal, but what's your favorite beer on tap at Brimstone?
Oh, it's probably I'm trying to think of the name of it. The Sinister Minister is the one I like.
Sinister Minister is delicious. I love it. So I want to hit a rapid fire question round. This is for people to get to know you a little bit better. So kind of first thing that pops into your head, just blurt it out. And these questions are probably going to be very, very random, all right?
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Do you talk in your sleep?
No.
No, okay. What is the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
Go to the bathroom, I think.
That's an honest answer. I love it. What is your favorite movie quote of all time? If you're stuck, you can pass for now.
I'm sort of stuck.
Sort of stuck. All right. Do you have a favorite comedian?
Oh, I like so many. I'm going to have a hard time sort of narrowing it down.
Oh, geez. You can name a couple favorites.
Boy, I'm blanking all these.
We'll come back to that one.
Trivia questions.
No, that's okay. They are almost trivia questions. What do you like to do for fun?
I like to go for car rides, and also walking are my favorite things to do. Both things, you're observing everything around you as you go, provided you're not the driver when you're in the car.
I think we were just talking about distracted driving a moment ago, right? But if you could buy anything for yourself and money was no issue, what would you get?
I probably would get a plane.
You get a plane?
Yeah.
Where would you go?
All over, because I know I'm not going to have time to cover everything that I would like to cover in my lifetime, but some of the places that really intrigue me are, I would like to go to China.
Yeah.
I would like to go to Thailand. And then I'd like to get over to Europe, and actually I would land the plane there and then go by the train.
Right.
Just be like the students. Just cover as much of Europe as I can.
Oh, that is cool. Last rapid fire question. Where would you go if you were invisible?
I'd probably still hang around Niagara. It's my favorite place. Somewhere I'd be following people around Niagara.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Well, we have enough reports of hauntings and stuff in the area, right? Now you could follow people invisible and mess with them. So, okay, that's the end of the rapid fire round. I like giving people a chance to get to know my guests a little bit. So thinking about Ridgeway specifically, how do you think Ridgeway, the landscape of it, is going to change in, say, the next 10 years?
Well, certainly the housing growth that's happening right now is going to bring in lots of new families and new interest in the community. What I hope for Ridgeway is that it also brings in some innovative business to the downtown core.
Sure.
There's some pieces missing there. We have lots of service-based businesses there. Right. But there's some other pieces that would be great to have there.
Yeah.
A little thing that always comes to mind is some sort of a shopping place, you know, for your general things.
Sure.
Because a lot of times people, especially the locals who know Ridgeway, don't think of coming there to shop. They think of coming for the market and they think of coming for the services that they need.
Right.
So we need to have some new attractors downtown that will bring people and will become more than just a summer community.
Sure. What do you think needs to happen for, and I'm thinking of Fort Erie as a whole right now, including Ridgeway, Crystal Beach, Stevensville, to sort of achieve that next level of economic growth? What do you think needs to happen?
I think that one thing that would really help everybody is if each of the business areas would sit down as a group and kind of set some regular hours for their businesses. I think it's very confusing for the regulars and also your tourists when we don't seem to have consistent hours for the businesses.
Right.
So that's a decision that the businesses have to make together, but
Yeah.
I know that that would really help the community move forward.
I can see that. That makes a lot of sense. Well, for those of you listening, check out the show notes below this episode because I'm going to put links in there on how to connect with Mary-Lou and some of the things that she's up to. So thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate you sitting down with me.
It's my pleasure. And I did think of one of those comedians. Ellen would be one of the people that is just one of my very favorite people in the world.
Oh, I can see that. That's great. And I guess the other rapid fire question we were going to come back to is if you had a favorite movie quote. Anything come to mind?
Still can't pin down the wording of it, so I'll have to skip on that one again.
That's okay. Thank you so much, Mary-Lou. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, welcome back. And just before we get into community events, a quick reminder, if you have a community event coming up and you'd like me to talk about it on this show, visit the FortEriePodcast.com and click the contact link at the top of the page. Okay, let's get into events for this week. Tomorrow, Wednesday, November the 6th, part of the fall concert series at Fort Erie Public Library Centennial Branch, there will be a light classical performance, a free performance from 7 until 8 p.m. featuring, oh God, I hope I don't pronounce this wrong, featuring Deborah Greitzer, I think I got that right, and Virginia Barron. Okay, Thursday, November the 7th, the annual Christmas Unveiling Celebration is happening at the Stevensville Garden Gallery starting at 9 o'clock a.m. Friday, November the 8th, monthly fundraiser hosted by the Fort Erie Lions Club. That, of course, is their fundraiser dinner. $12 for adults, $6 for children, and you can call ahead for takeout. That's happening 5 to 6:30 p.m. on Friday, November the 8th at the Fort Erie Lions Club. Also on Friday, November the 8th, the Greater Fort Erie Chamber of Commerce is hosting their 14th annual Black Cat Gala Auction. Now, as I understand it, the funds raised through this event support a bursary award program that supports our local youth. So again, in the show notes, you can get details about this event, about every event. It's going to be hosted at the Cherry Hill Club in Ridgeway, and it looks like tickets to attend are somewhere in the range of $70 to $75. Cash, the world's most authentic Johnny Cash tribute. That's Friday, November the 8th as well at the Sanctuary Center for the Arts in Ridgeway. Doors open at 7:30 p.m. The show starts at 8 p.m. and this is an event open to all ages. General admission is $25. I already mentioned it at the start of the episode, but on Saturday, November the 9th, I'll be hosting a food drive for Cope at Sobeys. You get a free t-shirt, a free Fort Erie podcast t-shirt when you donate food or toiletries to Cope. Saturday, November the 9th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. outside of Sobeys. And just finally, also happening Saturday, November the 9th, is the Red Ribbon art exhibition and sale. And let me just get the time for you here. That's from 7 to 11 p.m. Saturday, November the 9th, held at the Fort Erie Leisureplex. Great opportunity to check out this event hosted by the Fort Erie Arts Council. And who knows, maybe even buy something really nice so you'd like to put up in your home as well. So that pretty well concludes events for the week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Remember to help spread the word. Tell a friend about the Fort Erie podcast, or feel free to share it. Share this episode on social media. I'll be back at you next Tuesday, with a brand new episode, and my guest will be none other than Angie Scott from Creative Dining by Angie. So long, everyone. Have an awesome week.
You've been listening to the Fort Erie Podcast with your host, Brent Jones, a sales representative with RE/MAX Niagara Realty Limited Brokerage. Follow @BuyWithBrent on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for updates. Subscribe to the Fort Erie Podcast on popular platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and catch a new bite-sized episode every week. Until next time.